Hey there, and welcome to the 8.5 by 11 version of sketch number 3. This sketch is pretty linear and squared up, and it has a place for a photo that's 4 by 6 horizontal and a 3 by 4 vertical with some area for journaling. A couple of things I want to make note about this sketch before I show you what I'm going to be doing is that you can easily switch any of these spaces up to work with the photos that you have. So if you had two 3 by 4 photos and a 4 by 6 and maybe not as much to say, you could probably put your title and journaling in this space here and add in another photo. The other thing I wanted to point out is today I actually have three 3 by 4 photos. These are some photos of my daughter playing with her food playing with stuff before we got her food, and she loves ketchup, so I wanted to talk about both of those things. But what I'm going to do is put two 3 by 4 photos side by side at the top and then one below. And so that can give me more photos that way as well. So that's where I'm going to get started with these photos. Now, as you see, these photos are fairly dark. They're red. We're in a restaurant with low lighting, and they're just not very bright, which is not my favorite. I like to have a light and bright photo. So to combat that, I have chosen for my papers in the background, you can see that there is a background paper and then kind of some strips layered together in the middle, and then a photo mat around this entire block in the middle to help it feel all cohesive. So what I plan to do is combat the darkness of these photos. First of all, they're very, very red. So I don't want to use red because that's going to make my photos get lost. What I'm going to do is use a color that works well with red, which is aqua. And the rest I'm keeping neutral because I really want to freshen this up. So by pairing these photos with these neutrals and with a little pop of aqua, it's going to help me achieve that. So for my background paper, I'm going to use the stripes, and then I'm going to layer up these two papers behind my photos, and then as the strips, and then my photos will rest on top of white cardstock just to help them really pop. I've also pulled a bunch of kind of food related scrapbooking products that I had. Ali Edwards had an Eat story kit, and so I pulled some things from that story kit, including this and some of the journaling cards and some of the little bits and pieces that we got along with that. I've also pulled some Ellie Studio foodie stuff. So there's puffy stickers, and then there are also some stamps, and then I have some journaling cards as well in my little jar of goodness here. So I've got a few things to work with. I'm going to keep this layout very simple and fairly neutral with just some pops of color, and I like this adding in a pop of red but not overwhelming the layout.
So I'll start by cutting down my striped pattern paper to 8.5 by 11, and I decided to have my stripes going horizontally. I felt like that would work well with the strips that were going to go across the middle. And I'm just kind of guesstimating how large I want the strips to be. I decided to have the heart paper be 2 hearts high, and then the other paper I just kind of eyeballed it. So I think it might be around 3 or 4 inches. I'm not exactly sure. So now I'm just going to mount my photos on some white cardstock, and I don't know how much space I want to leave between them because I'm not sure exactly how my title's going to go. So I've got to figure that out before I can glue the other 2 pieces down. So I know I want my title. I knew I wanted to use this word play. That's from an Ali Edwards story kit. And I thought it would be fun to do play with your food. And so I'm going to use these Felicity Jane grid stickers. They kind of almost have a gray look. They're a dark gray grid printed on white, and they're a puffy sticker. And I like how they kind of match the background papers that I've chosen a little bit. So at first I used the words with your food I spelled out the words with your food using these letter stickers, but it was a little bit too long. And so I'm going to try to find a different letter sticker to use for the word with. And I'm trying to make it all fit in that space. I don't mind if the little rubber piece that says play sticks off of the side, the left-hand side a little bit, but I want the word food to end with that that right hand side photo. So I need to make sure I have the space that I need. So those letter stickers would have worked okay, but I felt like they matched too much with the word play. And so I'm finding these aqua colored ones from Basic Gray, and they're super old, from their waterfall packs that they used to do. And I'm spelling out the word with those letter stickers. And they're the perfect match for the background paper, and I like the idea of bringing in that color. I'm going to go ahead and get my journaling written down, and this little story of this meal card has a place for you to check different boxes. So I checked the box that said yummy and the one that said other, and I wrote waiting for food in the space. And then I'm just writing about how Malia was building a tower and playing with her food and how she loves ketchup, and she kept us both entertained while we were waiting. So just a little story about that meal. I haven't ever documented us eating out really before. Maybe I have, but it's something like that we like to do sometimes, and I thought that would be a fun story to document. Plus I have all these foodie kind of elements to use up. So once I got that done, I'm going to go ahead and glue that down, because now I know how much space I need. And it's going to give me a little bit of a problem, because that little card, it's from a TerraPart paper pad, and it's a little bit smaller than 3x4, and so everything doesn't quite line up. So I'm going to cut a little bit off of the right hand photo so that they match up a little bit better. And that ends up working for me. So just going with the flow there. And once I get that done, then I can go ahead and get my layers in the background stuck down, and I'm just centering those. And I just eyeballed it. I don't know if it's exactly centered. And I want my hearts to show, and I know only 2 hearts are going to show. So I hung the pattern off the edge a little bit so I could cut some of the white off, so I could make sure I had 2 of the hearts showing. So I'm just going to trim those end pieces now. And I think that looks really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and get my title stuck down, lining it up with the edge of the photo, and I'm moving backwards, because it's okay, like I mentioned, if the word play hangs off the left hand side, but I didn't want the word food to hang off the right. So I'm just seeing how much room the word with takes up, and I'm squishing it together a little bit so that I can make sure I fit it all in there. And I really, really like the way that title has come together. I want to use this little circle that says eat, and I'm thinking about how I can add embellishment in the places where you see the stars on the sketch there, and I'm thinking circles might be a fun way to go. I had that little piece that said dinner, and it's acetate, so it's a little bit see-through, and it didn't quite work for me. So I'm looking for, I know that in Allie's Storied Kits we get a lot of these chipboard pieces, and there was one that said making stuff, and I just thought that was funny, and so I'm going to use that because she was making a tower while we were waiting. And then I decided to use this Yes Please in gray at the top rather than that blue piece, because I wanted to bring in the neutral color again. So I'm going to go ahead and get these stuck down. I'm using some double-sided tape from ThermoWeb to stick down that rubber piece, and I found that that works well for me. I know some adhesives don't work well. The red line tape is what Allie recommends, and I use that sometimes as well. So I like the way that that circle fills in the space between the words play and with, because that play is a triangle, so there it leaves some space on the edges there. I added the little puffy sticker that said dine out to my journaling area, and then I'm going to add some hearts, some puffy hearts to each cluster, and it's going to take me a while to figure out which puffy hearts should go where. So I'm thinking, do I want black, white, and gray? Do I want to bring in some color? I'm not exactly sure yet. I have these LE Studio puffy stickers, and they have the perfect aqua color, and I have some other LE Studio puffy stickers that have the perfect red color. And so I'm just kind of playing around with the products that I have, trying to find the right fit. And I'm going to end up placing 2 hearts in each cluster. And I put a yellow one at the top, a red one in the middle, and a gray one at the bottom. And that kind of mimics the colors of the circles, but in a different spot. And I like that. And I'm looking at my little word strips from Tim Holtz to see if there's any that I can add into my embellishment areas. And I definitely found some that I liked. At the top, I end up adding Stay Simple and XOXO. In the middle, I added I Love You and Take Risks because that tower looked like it was going to fall over. So I thought that was just kind of funny. And then on the bottom right hand one, I said Make It Count and Enjoy Today. So I love adding word strips. I think they're the perfect finishing touch to lots of layouts. So I looked up the date, and now I am just going to stamp that in the spot for the date on that journaling card. And I'm going to use some yellow ink just to bring some yellow down to that bottom cluster. And I like using stamping ink as a way to add a pop of color if I need it. I added a red heart up at the top, and I've got a white one in the middle with the red one. And now I'm going to try to find another white one to put at the bottom. But I'm just trying to find the right color and the right texture. I have lots of different puffy heart stickers, and they're all a little bit different. So I wanted it to be a little consistent. I remembered I had these wood veneer pieces, and I love the way that they frame my layout. I'm looking up on my phone right now to see what the correct way to set a table is, because I couldn't remember if the fork goes on the left. And so I was looking that up, and so that I can make sure I got it right on my layout. And after I glue those down, that is going to finish it up.
Okay, so let's take a look at the sketch versus the final layout. As I mentioned at the beginning, I switched up the 2 3x4 or 1 4x6 photo for 2 3x4s. I'm really happy with the way this turned out, and I definitely used these same areas for my embellishment. I moved this one up a little bit because it fit in this space better, and so don't forget that you can move the embellishments around as it works for your layout. I also decided, now these are the main clusters of embellishment, but I also decided because I had these wood veneer pieces and I wasn't sure when I might get a chance to use them again, that I would just go ahead and use them here. So even though it extends my embellishment out, this still feels connected with this, and this still feels connected with this, and those both feel connected with the title. So it doesn't feel like an additional embellishment throwing things off at all. It just feels like an addition. And I really like the way that these kind of cap off the ends, and even though you don't see my heart paper as much, it doesn't matter. It's just there for show anyway. I think you can still tell they're hearts, and I have all of my other hearts around my layout. So I'm really pleased with the way that this one turned out. I hope that you'll give something like this a try, and don't forget to check out the 12x12 and the double page versions for the sketch as well.